Yo, what's up everybody, it's Victon here with a follow-up video and mini guide to the Stone Golem Necromancer guide I just released. In it, I mentioned that I would talk about the Elementalist version of the build, but the build guide ended up already being about 30 minutes, so I figured I'd just go ahead and make a mini guide for this Elementalist version and refer you guys to the other longer video for the full guide, since both of them are pretty similar with only a few differences. What I'm going to focus this mini guide on is specifically the changes that this build makes for going Elementalist versus Necromancer. Now, the main question I always get is what's the difference between Necromancer and Elementalist, and always which one is better? Well, the answer isn't as easy as most of you guys would like. The simple answer is that Necromancer is about 25 to 30% more damage, and Elementalist has significantly more defenses, which is actually pretty crazy considering that the Necro version is already pretty tanky. More specifically, Elementalist goes with 6 Stone Golems, a Chaos Golem, and a Carrion Golem, whereas the Necro version gets 6 Stone Golems. This of course is for the League Start build. Each build has 2 less Stone Golems than the in-game versions, but it's okay, you end up with way more damage anyway, so it's not a big deal. So having that extra Chaos Golem gives the Elementalist version 90% physical damage reduction without needing Determination, which allows us to pick up another aura. We can either go with Tempest Shield for shock immunity and 25% spell block, which is super strong, or we can go with Arctic Armor for freeze immunity and less physical and fire damage taken while standing still. Either one is pretty solid. We also have almost 1.2k life regen per second, which is a ton of life regen. That's over about 700 with the Necro version. We also get Primal Aegis Shield from the Ascendancy, which is going to give us a 2.1k elemental damage shield every 4 seconds. It's just a crazy layer of defense combo with having 90% physical damage reduction, Divine Flesh for 80% chaos res, 77% all res with anointing that new prismatic node on the tree, and then a 2k Ellie shield after all of that. It's super solid. It's also noteworthy to say it's easier to League Start with Elementalist because you can get more Golems out sooner since you get the +2 from the Ascendancy, and you don't need the Primordial Jewels as early as you would with Necro. Now, DPS wise, in a fully min-maxed build, my current POB with Animate Guardian, very important to note Animate Guardian in there, as well as going Necromancer, we're doing 30 million DPS, which is crazy. And basically the same gear and tree, you're going to get 20 million DPS as Elementalist, as you can see over here. The question will be, is 20 million DPS enough for all of this new Uber content? If it is, then I think that we should go with Elementalist in-game, but if it's not, I think we do want to stick with Necromancer for that extra damage. Now let's finally take a look at the POB and the changes that we're going to make for the gear. Pretty much everything is the same for the tree and also the items. Where it comes down to it is the skills. Like I said, because we are going to be going with Chaos Golem and a Carrion Golem, so we got to switch things up very slightly here. So we're going to do this with our weapon 2. We're going to have summon Skitterbots, a Carrion Golem, and Chaos Golem. And again, this is for, I'm showing you guys in the min-maxed version, but it's the same thing for your leveling build. It's just not going to have things, you know, like Anomalous. We're not going to have Anomalous in the beginning, so don't worry about that stuff, but just know that the actual gems that we are having here is going to be the exact same thing as it is in the League Starter version. So yeah, we're going to have summon Skitterbots, Carrion Golem, Chaos Golem. This is actually going to be the exact same for our Stone Golem. Of course, again, not going to have Awaken. It is pretty cool to note, though, that a couple of these gems actually got buffed. The Awaken Brutality is now going to be giving us Crush on hit, which is very strong. The melee physical is giving us the Intimidate on hit, also very strong. Awaken Minion Damage is giving us +1 to minion gem levels, super strong. The only difference I would say actually is that we're not doing critical strike damage. We're going to be using Impale in the League Starter version. I guess that's the only difference here with this one right here. So moving on, we have our weapon 1. We're going to have Desecrate, Flesh Offering, and Vitality. And then moving to our gloves, we're going to have Vol Molten Shell, Increased Duration, and Assassin's Mark, and we're going to unlink that, so you're going to have a 3-link and a 1-link, and you're either going to pick, like I said, Arctic Armor or Tempest Shield. You can do either one. They're both super solid. I would say that you probably want to do Arctic Armor if you are doing, you know, it's hard to pick. I think we're gonna need to test, but maybe Arctic Armor if you're doing Blight content, like especially if you're AFKing Blight maps. Arctic Armor might be the call, and if not, then maybe Tempest Shield. But we'll have to do some testing. I think either of those are going to be pretty solid. Moving on from there, in our boots, we have Awaken Generosity. Again, you won't need Awaken, Dread Banner, Pride, and Enlighten. So that's going to be one of the changes here that is in the in-game version versus the League Starter version. You don't need Enlighten in the League Starter version, of course. What you're going to do different is that you're going to just level your vitality down a little bit. Not a big deal at all. You would have it probably around level 13 or so. And even with that, you're still at 1000 life regen per second, which is super, super strong. Let's move that back up. Let's go back down to here. So yeah, Enlighten 4 or even probably 3 is just fine. Yeah, Enlighten 3 is just fine. You might even be able to do Enlighten 2 and be just fine. Yep, Enlighten 2 is just fine as well. So not bad there at all. Moving on to our helmet, this is exactly the same. Ray Spectre, Feeding Frenzy, Animate Guardian, Life Tap. Again, if you don't want to do Animate Guardian, just note that it gives you an insane amount of damage. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely understandable. What you would do instead is you would do Meat Shield. So you could do that. And then we have Flame Dash in our Ring 1, and we have Convocation in our Ring 2. That's really the only changes. Like I said, the big ones is just because we kind of got to make some room for the Golems, the Carrion Golem and the Chaos Golem. It kind of moves things around. But other than that, the tree is exactly the same. Of course, we have the different Ascendancy, which we'll talk about here shortly. But your items are exactly the same. No difference there. It's literally just the gems. So let's talk about the Ascendancy though. This is actually pretty much the same that we've been doing for Golems, for Elementalist for the longest time, so really no changes here. You're going to be going Liege of the Primordial first, which is fantastic. It gives you +1 to number of summoned Golems, and also this is a buff, I think either last league or this league, but it's going to be 100% increase effect of buffs granted by your Golems, so that is a really, really strong first node that you pick up when you do your first lab. Really, really strong. You also have Elemancer, that's going to be your second one that you pick up. Again, that's going to give you another +1 to maximum summon Golems. This is why it makes it a little bit easier to level this up in a league start situation, just because you're going to have all of these extra Golems to play around with. Whereas Necromancer, you wouldn't have those. You would have to get your 2 Clay Shapers before you're able to get 4. Whereas if you have this and your 2 Clay Shapers, you're already up to 6 Golems, so pretty strong there. After that, you're going to go with Bastion of Elements for your third. And the reason this is pretty crazy is because I think we have 28 notables on the tree, which is going to give us about 2100 elemental damage shield that pops up every 4 seconds. That's what Primal Aegis does. So really, really strong. Since we have really high physical damage reduction and we have really high chaos res, we have pretty decent elemental res as well. Getting an elemental shield on top of that just makes us even more tanky, and it's just an extra fantastic layer of defense. From there, these other nodes actually don't really benefit us that much, so we're just going to pick up this and this for affecting our skitterbots, which really isn't that much, but it's going to be 10% increase effect of your shock, and then 10% increase effect of your chill. So not too bad there. You don't have to pick those up even if you want to. It really doesn't do too much. Let's see. Yeah, it literally does nothing. Basically very minimal stuff. So it's kind of nice that you only even need that, and you don't even have to do the Uber Lab until you really want to, just kind of to get it out of the way, right? But that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to give you all a quick overview of Elementalist versus Necromancer. Like I said, I think short version to everything that I've been talking about here is once I get to the in-game version of this build and I'm able to put all the gear together, I get the levels, you know, I'm up to 95, 96 plus. I'm going to try Necromancer, and I'm also going to try Elementalist, and I'm going to see if that 20 million DPS is enough for all of this super uber in-game content, right? Like the Ravaged Blight maps, the Breach Lords, the Uber Breach Lords, all that type of stuff. I'll see if 20 million DPS is enough. I have a feeling that it's gonna be enough, and if it is, then getting all of this extra defensive stats with Elementalist I think is going to be the call. But if it's not enough DPS, then I think we do need to stick with Necromancer and just have a little bit less defenses. So yeah, I think that's my thoughts on it. Let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments as well. There's always been that, you know, fight about which one's better, Necromancer or Elementalists. Everybody has their own opinion. This is just my opinion. Let me know y'all's opinion, and let me know which one y'all are gonna pick. If y'all are gonna go Necro or you're all gonna go Elementalist, you guys let me know. That's all I got for this one. I will catch y'all in the next guide. Thanks, guys.